The stars beyond the viewport burned cold and indifferent. Titan's orange skies simmered with dust storms and firestorms, scars left by battles the galaxy would forget. Inside the command bridge of Aegis Prime, Admiral Celine Vance stood rigid, eyes locked on the holomap flickering before her. A red dot blinked relentlessly. Colony Outpost Artemis. Lost. Status report, she commanded, voice calm but hard as steel. Lieutenant Mara Chen's fingers danced across her console. Drex forces breached the outer defenses an hour ago. Artemis is compromised. Civilians are either dead or being taken. Our reinforcements are delayed. Celine's jaw tightened. Delayed was a word with no mercy in war. The second and third colony. She didn't need to ask. The blinking red dots told the story. We lost them yesterday. The silence that followed was heavier than any explosion. Outside, the distant rumble of artillery echoed faintly, like the death throes of humanity's last foothold in this system. She glanced sideways at Captain Orcs' empty seat on the bridge. His unit's transmissions went dark weeks ago. Helljumpers. The name sounded like a myth now. Rumors buried in classified files. Yet if anyone could turn this tide, it was them. Her fingers hovered over the secure console. Admiral, Mara said, voice low. There's a transmission on the darknet, encrypted with old Earth military codes. Possibly a distress call. Celine's eyes narrowed. Play it. Static hissed through the comms, then a voice. Gruff, cold, but unmistakably human. This is Captain Rourke. If you're hearing this, we're all but lost. The Drex have pushed deeper than anyone thought. But there's still hope. Project Helljumpers is real. We're alive, and we're coming back. The message ended abruptly. Celine let out a breath she didn't realize she was holding. Prepare the retrieval teams. Send the coordinates to my secure channel. Her mind raced back to the reports she had read, the warnings she'd ignored. The Drex were different from any enemy Earth had faced. Their weapons were not just technology. They were organic, adaptive, nearly impossible to predict. Each Drex warrior fought not as an individual, but as a fragment of a hive mind consciousness. They could anticipate tactics before they happened. The invasion was less a battle and more a slaughter orchestrated by a godlike intelligence. Suddenly, the lights flickered. The ship shook violently as distant explosions rippled through the atmosphere. Mara cursed, stabilizing her console. Enemy fire inbound, she warned. They've reached the outer perimeter of Aegis Prime. Celine's gaze hardened. Raise all defense grids. Divert power to the shields. And signal Earth Command. We need reinforcements. Now. The room pulsed with urgency as crews scrambled, the hum of machinery rising like a living beast awakening. Yet beneath the chaos, Celine's mind focused on the one hope she clung to. The Helljumpers. Stories whispered that decades ago, before the last great war with the Martian separatists, humanity engineered a force designed to win at any cost. Soldiers altered to be faster, stronger, smarter, and ruthlessly efficient killers. But when the war ended, the program was buried. Some called it too dangerous. Others said it was humanity's shame. Now, with the Drex as at the gates, that shame was all humanity had left. The ship lurched again. The hull groaned like a wounded beast. Communications flickered with warnings of boarding parties attempting to breach lower decks. Admiral, Mara called, eyes wide. We've got multiple boarding breaches. Life support on Deck 7 is failing. Celine's fingers snapped over the console. Seal all bulkheads. Deploy counterboarding teams. And prepare the emergency jump pods. If this ship falls, I want every survivor to escape. A sudden burst of static caught everyone's attention. A new transmission, scrambled and harsh. It was a voice none wanted to hear. The Drex commander. Humans, your resistance is futile. Your worlds will fall. Submit or be extinguished. Silence fell over the bridge. Celine's voice cracked, not with fear, but with iron resolve. They underestimate us. They always do. Her hand clenched into a fist. She pressed a hidden button and accessed the classified files labeled Project Helljumpers. The screen revealed 12 faces, frozen in time, men and women who had vanished from history. Legends whispered they were more than human, super soldiers bred for war, stripped of weakness. Celine stared at them, feeling the weight of 1,000 lost battles. "We will find them," she vowed, "and we will unleash hell." The ship trembled once more. Outside, Titan burned. The cold beneath Europa's ice sheets was as unforgiving as the void itself. Captain Rourke had learned to crave isolation, silent, absolute, and final. The frozen world was his graveyard, a place to bury memories that refused to die. For a decade, he had been dead to the galaxy. But the message was real. Earth's last hope called him back from the edge. Rourke stood at the edge of an ice cavern, the faint glow of his visor cutting through the darkness. His comm unit buzzed, a secure channel link from Admiral Celine Vance herself. "Rourke," her voice was steady but urgent. "We need you. The Drex are pushing toward Sol. They'll be at Earth's doorstep within months." He grunted, rubbing the stubble on his chin. "I'm out. I didn't die for this. You didn't die at all. You survived. And we need the Helljumpers. All of them. The war's been lost with conventional forces. We're running out of options." He stared out across the ice, memories flooding back, ghosts of battles lost and comrades gone. His old squad, his family. The mission that went wrong. The betrayal that shattered them. "Where's the team?" he asked. "Scattered. Most presumed dead or in hiding. But we found some." Rourke hesitated, then answered, "Send the list. I'll find them." The channel cut. Rourke's first stop was the asteroid prison known as Cerberus 7, a brutal rock floating in deep space where humanity dumped its worst. Among the inmates was Zaha, explosives expert, once brilliant, now tempered by years of survival in a cage. She didn't welcome him. When Rourke arrived, the guards watched closely. But inside the damp cells, Zaha recognized the ghost of the old war in his eyes. "Why bother?" she spat. "We're relics. Humanity's forgotten us." "Not everyone," Rourke said quietly. Celine didn't. He had 12 names, each a lost legend. Bao, the gravity manipulator. Kincaid, a cybernetics genius. And more. All fallen angels of war, shadows of the past. Reassembling the team was like stitching together a broken blade, sharp but unstable. Some answered the call with fire. Bao emerged from the remote orbital mining colony on Callisto, bent on revenge for a family lost to the Drex. Kincaid hacked his way out of a drifting data fortress, his eyes gleaming with cold intellect. Others resisted. Survivors like Tessa, once a field medic turned recluse, needed convincing that the war was worth fighting again. On a battered freighter in orbit around Mars, the reunited Helljumpers gathered in a dim briefing room. They were a ragtag group of elite warriors, enhanced beyond normal humans, but haunted by scars both seen and unseen. Rourke paced, the weight of command heavy on his shoulders. "We've lost 3 colonies. The Drexes aren't just fighting us. They're erasing us. Their hive mind makes them unstoppable, coordinated, relentless." He looked each of them in the eyes. "But they don't have what we do. Chaos, instinct, humanity." The room was silent, tension thick. Zaha finally spoke. "We're ghosts, Rourke. Why would anyone think we can stop a god?" He smiled grimly. "Because ghosts can be the deadliest nightmares." The team's first mission was brutal and immediate. A strike on a Drex bioweapons facility hidden beneath the ice of Europa itself. Failure wasn't an option. This was a test to prove they were still the nightmare. The insertion was messy. Drex sentries swarmed faster than expected, forcing the Helljumpers into a firefight on frozen ground. Gravity fields warped, bullets zipped past them with impossible speed, and alien shrieks echoed through the caverns. Kincaid hacked the facility's defense grid, turning enemy turrets against their own. Bao twisted gravity around their enemies, pinning Drex warriors to walls like insects. Zaha laid charges, setting the ice to explode beneath the enemy ranks. But the cost was steep. Tessa fell, saving a squadmate from a Drex strike. Rourke felt the old pain cut deep again, but there was no time for grief. They completed the mission, crippling the Drex's bioweapons production, but at a terrible price. The team had to retreat, carrying their wounded and their dead. Back aboard the freighter, the Helljumpers gathered around Tessa's medpod. The medic's eyes flickered open briefly. "We fight because no one else can," she whispered. "Because if we don't, there's nothing left." Her words ignited a spark. Rourke knew this war was far from over. The Drex held the advantage now, but humanity's elite, the ghosts of a forgotten war, had just begun to rise. And when they unleashed hell, nothing would be the same. The asteroid was a tomb, a blasted ruin carved by forgotten wars and tossed endlessly through cold space. Cerberus 9 wasn't on any civilian star charts, but the Helljumpers knew exactly where it was, the location of a Drexed weapons cache, vital to their next strike. Rourke's squad approached silently aboard the Shadowhawk, a stealth insertion vessel cloaked in fractured starlight. The interior hummed with quiet urgency as they suited up, their armor blending cutting-edge technology with brutal battlefield practicality. Each Helljumper carried the weight of years, and more, memories of friends lost, of failures that haunted the mind. Zaha checked her explosives, her hands steady but her eyes sharp. "This place smells like death," she muttered. "Perfect," Rourke replied. "We kill death." As the airlock hissed open, they dropped into the black void of space, tethered to the asteroid by magnetic clamps. Zero gravity and vacuum were old enemies, but here, the danger was something else entirely. The Drex were waiting. The first alarm blared moments after entry, a shrill alien wail that echoed down metal corridors. Red lights flashed, painting the walls with an eerie glow. "Contact left," Bao called out, gravity manipulating his step with unnatural grace as he zeroed in on the enemy. The Drex attackers surged, fast, relentless, and terrifying. Their carapaces shimmered like living armor, claws ripping through the air, biometal blades humming with lethal energy. Rourke raised his plasma rifle. "Hold formation. No mercy." The Helljumpers fired in deadly unison. Kinkid hacked into the asteroid's systems, sending defensive turrets spinning to join the firefight. The corridors became a deadly chessboard, each square soaked with bioluminescent blood and sparks. But this wasn't just a fight for survival. It was a test. Halfway through the mission, Zaha triggered the explosives she planted at critical structural nodes. The asteroid groaned, cracks spiderwebbing across its surface. The explosion tore through the Drex forces, but also triggered emergency lockdowns. Trapped inside the labyrinthine tunnels, the Helljumpers faced a brutal truth. Their enemy was adapting faster than they could plan. "Treachery," hissed one voice. The team froze. Kincaid's comm crackled. "Someone's been feeding Drex intel. Our approach was expected." Trust shattered. Zaha's glare burned through the gloom. "We've been set up." The tension exploded into violence when an ambush tore through the rear guard. Shots rang out from inside the squad. Rourke dove for cover, heart hammering. The attacker, a soldier they once called ally, turned on them with cold precision. "Traitor," Rourke bellowed. The firefight became chaotic and desperate. Allies became enemies. The lines blurred between friend and foe. In the melee, Bao used his gravity powers to slam the traitor into the bulkhead, knocking him unconscious. Rourke gritted his teeth. No time for questions. We finished the mission. The team pushed forward, battered and broken, deeper into the weapons vault. Kinkid hacked into the Drex databanks, extracting intelligence on hive clusters, bioweapon specs, and fleet movements. This data could turn the tide, Kinkid said, eyes flickering with hope. But the asteroid's core was unstable. The Helljumpers had minutes before it exploded. Zaha lit the final fuse, her face grim but determined. "Let's burn this place to hell," she said. The extraction was brutal. The Drex counterattacked in force, determined to trap them in the collapse. Rourke led the retreat, firing back while Bao distorted gravity to slow their pursuers. They reached the ship just as the asteroid detonated behind them, the explosion lighting space like a dying star. Back aboard the Shadowhawk, the Helljumpers were quiet. 3 were down, 5 wounded, 2 missing. Rourke's voice was steady but raw. "This war isn't just fought in space. It's in trust, in fire. We survive because we refuse to break." Zaha, bruised but alive, looked around the room. "We're ghosts, but ghosts haunt." Kincaid nodded. "And ghosts kill." Rourke stared at the stars through the viewport. The Drex had the advantage now. But humanity's elite had just been forged in fire. The Shadowhawk drifted silently near the edge of the Drex-controlled star system, its dark hull almost invisible against the void. The stolen Drex gate drive blinked quietly in the cargo hold, a fragile key to humanity's desperate gambit. The plan was audacious: strike at the heart of the Drex armada itself. The Oblivion Spire, a colossal biomech warship rumored to be the Hive's command nexus. Destroy it, and the Drex would be thrown into chaos. But the jump through the gate drive wasn't just dangerous, it was almost suicidal. Captain Rourke stood before the team in the cramped briefing room, eyes sharp beneath his battle-worn helmet. "This is the gate of no return," he said. "We jump directly into the enemy's heart. No reinforcements, no retreat. If we fail here, humanity is finished." Bao cracked his knuckles. "Perfect. Let's show them what ghosts can do." Zaha double-checked her explosives. Hell's ready for them. The Helljumpers loaded into the jump pods, the cold hum of the gate drive rising to a crescendo. The jump hit like a thunderclap. The Shadowhawk shuddered violently as space warped around them, stars stretching into white streaks. The pods ejected, hurtling into the unknown. Rourke's visor fogged with adrenaline and fear. When they dropped out of hyperspace, the Oblivion Spire filled their view, an immense, grotesque structure pulsing with living metal and glowing veins. The ship's surface rippled like a beast breathing. Enemy fighters swarmed immediately, a deadly ballet of biodromes and war machines. "Dogfight," Rourke shouted. "Get to the surface, and fast." The pod slammed into the hull, locking into place. The team flooded out into narrow corridors, slick with alien fluid and the hum of organic machinery. The corridors were a nightmare maze, alive, shifting, almost breathing. The Helljumpers moved fast, weapons drawn, senses on edge. Their boots squished on bioorganic flooring that pulsed with alien energy. Every turn brought them closer to the core, but also deeper into the claws of death. Drex sentries emerged from walls and vents, nightmarish creatures part machine, part flesh. Their snarls echoed as they lunged. Rourke fired steadily, each shot precise. Bao bent gravity to pin foes against walls. Zaha's grenades tore through corridors with savage power. But the enemy commander was waiting. In the command chamber, a towering Drex warlord awaited, its form shimmering with shifting armor plates and lethal appendages. It smiled with cruel intelligence. "You are insects," it hissed in a voice like grinding stone. "You cannot hope to stop the hive." The Helljumpers opened fire, but the warlord was fast, dodging, and striking with terrifying strength. Rourke lunged, blade flashing. The warlord parried, the clang of metal ringing like thunder. Bao twisted gravity, throwing the beast off balance, and Zaha landed a grenade at its feet. The chamber exploded in a cascade of biometal and fire. But victory was fleeting. The ship's systems began to collapse, gravitational distortions, power surges, and screams of dying eye. The hive core was destabilizing. Kincaid's voice crackled over comms. "We've got minutes before this whole thing goes critical. Time to move." The Helljumpers raced toward the evacuation pods, carrying wounded and dodging collapsing tunnels. The ship groaned, alien flesh tearing as it died. Outside, the Drex Armada closed ranks, ready to crush any survivors. On the bridge of the Shadowhawk, Celine watched the battle unfold through hacked Drex surveillance feeds. "They made it in," she whispered. "Now it's up to them if humanity lives or dies." Her fingers hovered over the launch console. "Prepare for extraction," she ordered. "This is the moment we fight back." The Helljumpers punched through the chaos, escaping the Oblivion Spire just as it exploded, a cataclysmic blast lighting the void like a dying sun. But the cost was clear. Several Helljumpers were missing. The rest were battered, wounded, but alive. They had dealt a blow to the hive mind, but the war was far from over. As the Shadowhawk limped away, Rourke looked back at the burning wreckage. "We're in their mind now," he said grimly. "And they know our names." The gate had been crossed. There was no going back. The Shadowhawk drifted through the cold blackness, carrying the weight of survival and sacrifice. The blast from the Oblivion Spire still glowed faintly on their sensors, a brilliant scar across the void. But inside the ship, the atmosphere was heavy with exhaustion and loss. Captain Rourke sat in the dimmed command room, staring at the flickering status boards. 7 survivors, 2 missing, 3 dead. The numbers gnawed at him, but he refused to let the loss define them. "We did what no one thought possible," he said quietly. "We crippled the hive's nerve center." Zaha, nursing a bandaged arm, didn't look convinced. "And what now?" "They'll adapt. They always do." Kincaid, perched over a cracked terminal, frowned. "The intel we grabbed from the Spire shows their hive mind is fracturing. But it's unstable. If it collapses too fast, it could cause a chain reaction. Devastate entire systems, ours included." Tessa, still recovering, added, "The Drex might lose control, but chaos breeds monsters." Rourke sighed, the weight of command pressing down. "We've bought Earth time. Time to regroup, rebuild. But the Drex won't stop. Not until every human world is ashes." Celine's voice came over the secure channel. "You've struck a critical blow, but the war is far from over. Reinforcements from Earth are en route. Hold your position and prepare for counterattack." The transmission cut. The Helljumpers' return to Earth's orbit was met with mixed emotions. Soldiers hailed them as heroes, but in quiet corners, doubt lingered. The horrors they'd faced were almost too much to believe. The government spun propaganda, but the truth was raw. Humanity was on the brink. Rourke convened the team in the strategy room. "We need to train more like us. Adapt like us. The future belongs to those who fight in the shadows." Bao clenched his fists. "Then we make sure no one else dies for nothing." But Zaha warned, "We're already becoming what we hated. Monsters bred for war." Tessa nodded. "There's a line we can't cross, or we lose what makes us human." A sudden alarm shattered the fragile calm. Sensors picked up a massive Drex fleet emerging from the outer rim, heading straight for Earth. "The war is accelerating," Celine announced grimly. "We must strike first." Rourke looked to his team, resolve burning in his eyes. "We go to them. On their turf. We end this, or we die trying." The Helljumpers prepared for their most dangerous mission yet, a deep assault on the Drex hive cluster itself, the living fortress at the heart of enemy space. Failure meant annihilation. Success meant freedom. As the Shadowhawk jumped into the darkness, Rourke felt the ghosts of their fallen comrades beside him. "We're not just fighting for survival," he whispered. "We're fighting for the future of humanity." The Shadowhawk slipped through the void, a dark spear aimed straight at the heart of the Drex hive cluster. Silence wrapped the crew like a suffocating shroud, broken only by the rhythmic pulse of the ship's engines and the low hum of weapons charging. Rourke stood at the command console, eyes scanning the incoming data stream. The sensors showed twisted organic spires and sprawling nests sprawling across the system like a living nightmare. The hive was massive, an alien city built from bone and biometal, pulsating with grotesque life. "This is it," Rourke said, voice low. "The source of the hive mind. Destroy this, and we sever their command." Zaha loaded her explosives, her face set like flint. "I never thought I'd walk into the belly of the beast." Kincaid's fingers danced over his console. "The Drex defenses here are adaptive. We'll have seconds before they reroute countermeasures." Tessa adjusted her med-pack, eyes sharp and ready. "Let's make those seconds count." The insertion was brutal. As the Shadowhawk dropped out of stealth orbit, Drex defense drones swarmed immediately. Fast, relentless, biological weapons engineered for destruction. The Helljumpers deployed in pods, crashing through the hive's outer spires and landing amidst alien carnage. The corridors were alive. Walls pulsated with throbbing tissue and veins, dripping with acidic fluids. Alien screams echoed through the tunnels as the Helljumpers fought through waves of Drex warriors, creatures whose speed and coordination tested every ounce of their training. Vao manipulated gravity fields, hurling enemies into each other with brutal force. Zaha's explosives shattered the hive's brittle architecture, while Kincaid hacked biointerfaces to disrupt automated defenses. But the deeper they went, the hive pushed back harder. The Drex commander they had faced before returned, a twisted, monstrous fusion of flesh and machine, now larger and more deadly. "You will not destroy the hive," it snarled, its voice a horrid symphony of rage and malice. The battle was a whirlwind of fury. Rourke's blade clashed with the creature's serrated limbs, sparks flying with every strike. Vao's gravity fields buckled the floor beneath the beast, slowing its advance. Zaha's grenades detonated near its core, but the creature adapted, its flesh hardening like armor. Wounded but unbroken, the Helljumpers forced the creature back, retreating toward the hive's core chamber. Inside the core, the true horror awaited. A massive organic reactor pulsed with life, beating like a heart made of bone and energy. This was the hive's brain, the nexus of the Drex's terrifying unity. Kincaid set to work hacking the bioneural interface, sweat beading on his brow. "This is going to hurt," he muttered. The hive trembled, alarms blaring as the core's defenses awakened in a frenzy. The team fought off swarms of biodrones, their bodies fracturing under relentless assault. Seconds stretched into minutes. The reactor's pulse quickened, threatening to overload. Kincaid's voice cut through the chaos. "Almost there." The core exploded in a surge of energy that threw the team to the ground. Alarms ceased as the hive's systems faltered, structure collapsing around them. Rourke struggled to his feet, signaling the retreat. The hive was dying, but the cost was clear. The corridors crumbled, escape routes sealed by crashing biometal. Drex reinforcements closed in. In the desperate moments, the Helljumpers fought like specters, ghosts weaving through death's embrace. Zaha planted last-minute charges to clear a path. Bao warped gravity to fling enemies into the abyss. Tessa patched wounds amid gunfire, keeping the team alive. Rourke led the charge, every step a battle against the crushing weight of failure. They made it back to the pods, launching just as the hive began to implode behind them. The Shadowhawk lurched from hyperspace, battered but alive. Silence fell over the crew. Kincaid broke it softly. "We cut the head off the snake, but the body's still moving." Rourke nodded grimly. "The war's far from over," he said. "But we're the ghosts they fear." The war-ravaged Earth hung silently in the void, a fragile blue orb shadowed by the gathering storm of Drex fleets. Cities burned beneath the thick atmosphere, and the cries of billions echoed through the digital corridors of command centers. Captain Rourke stood on the bridge of the Shadowhawk, his jaw set like forged steel. The Helljumpers, battered but unbroken, prepared for their final mission, a last stand to defend humanity's homeworld or perish trying. "We don't just fight for survival," Rourke said, voice steady. "We fight to remind the universe why humanity won't bow." Zaha loaded her weapons, her fingers trembling with both rage and exhaustion. They think they can crush us, but they've never faced ghosts like us. Kincaid, patching his cybernetic implants, added grimly, "This battle will decide everything. Either we end the Drex threat here, or we disappear forever." The Drex fleet loomed massive in Earth's orbit, a swirling storm of biomech dreadnoughts and swarming fighters, their hive-mind intensity palpable even through the void. The enemy's shadows stretched like death itself. Celine's command voice cut through the tension. "All units, brace for orbital defense. The Helljumpers lead the ground assault." The Shadowhawk pierced through the atmosphere, dropping the Helljumpers in jump pods over the devastated landscapes of the Pacific Rim. The ground shook with distant explosions. Fires raged in ruined cities. The Helljumpers hit the dirt hard, landing amidst chaos. The Drex had unleashed their full fury. Bioengineered beasts ravaged the streets, and the air was thick with toxic spores and ash. Rourke rallied his team. "We strike the hive burrow beneath the Mariana Trench. It's the nerve center controlling the invasion." Their path was a gauntlet of horrors. Drex patrols and monstrous creatures stalked every corner. Zaha laid traps. Bao wielded gravity fields to shatter enemy ranks, and Kincaid hacked into Drex bionetworks to sow confusion. Tessa's mid-bay was a constant whirlwind of triage and field surgery as casualties mounted. Deeper beneath the ocean floor, the Helljumpers found the massive hive burrow, an alien fortress woven from coral and flesh, throbbing with sinister energy. Inside, the hive pulsed like a living beast. Rourke led the charge, each step echoing in the alien labyrinth. At the core, they faced the Drex Overmind, a towering creature of bone and biometal, eyes burning with primal rage. "You think to end me," it roared. "I am the will of the hive." The final battle erupted, a savage dance of steel, plasma, and raw willpower. Rourke clashed with the Overmind, his blade sparking against living armor. Bao warped gravity to slam the beast into walls. Zaha's explosives tore at its core, while Kincaid hacked and destabilized its neural link. But the Overmind fought with desperate fury. With a savage blow, it knocked Rourke to the ground. The world blurred as pain threatened to consume him. From the shadows, Tessa charged, firing a plasma rifle, drawing the beast's attention away. "Now Bao. Now Zaha," Rourke gasped. They struck in unison. Gravity crushed the Overmind's limbs. Explosives shattered its biometal frame. The beast fell with a deafening roar. The hive shuddered, collapsing in on itself. The Helljumpers sprinted back through the crumbling tunnels as the alien fortress imploded. Outside, the Drex fleets faltered, their command severed. Earth's forces surged, pushing the invaders back. Victory was hard-won but undeniable. As dawn broke over a scared Earth, Rourke looked toward the rising sun, the ghosts of the fallen surrounding him. "We fought hell itself," he said softly. "And we won." The sky over Earth was bruised but breaking. After weeks of relentless battle, the invading Drex armada lay shattered, retreating into the black void like a dying storm. The ocean still churned with the echoes of alien engines, and cities bore scars deeper than flesh. Yet, amid the ruin, a fragile hope kindled. Captain Rourke stood on the battered command deck of the Shadowhawk, his gaze fixed on the horizon through cracked viewports. The first rays of dawn pierced through the smoke and ash, painting the world in pale gold. A new day for humanity. The cost had been staggering. The Helljumpers, who had once numbered a dozen, were now a handful, each carrying wounds both visible and hidden. Tessa's medical bays had become sanctuaries and tombs alike. Zaha's explosives had torn through alien flesh and architecture, but had also scared her soul. Kincaid, cybernetic limbs still twitching with residual damage, surveyed the data feeds, eyes tired but unyielding. "We dismantle their hive mind," he said quietly. "Without the Overmind, their forces are fractured, leaderless." Bao leaned on his gravity field device, his breathing heavy but steady. "Without a brain, the body dies. But Rourke knew the fight was far from over. The Dreks might be beaten, but they're not broken, he said. Their species will adapt, evolve. We've only delayed the inevitable. Celine's voice crackled through the comms. Earth forces are mobilizing to reclaim lost worlds and fortify defenses. The Council has authorized expansion of the Helljumpers program. More recruits, better tech. Rourke nodded, the flicker of a weary smile breaking through his battle-hardened features. We'll need every hand, every ghost. As Earth's survivors gathered to rebuild, the Helljumpers prepared for a new mission. Training, fortifying, evolving. They had seen the abyss and returned stronger, not just as soldiers but as symbols. Zaha stood beside Rourke, her eyes reflecting the dawning light. We're not just warriors, she said. We're the fire that burns in the dark. Tessa joined them, steady and strong. And the healing after. Kincaid smiled faintly, the ghost of a laugh in his voice. We're the future, born from the ashes of war. The Shadowhawk launched into the sky once more, carrying the Helljumpers to new battlefields. Their mission was clear: defend humanity, explore the stars, and remind the cosmos that humans were not easily broken. Rourke looked to the stars, the vast black sea of infinity. He whispered, "We are the ghosts they fear. We are the hell they never expected." And as the first light of dawn bathed Earth, humanity rose again. Scarred, battered, but unyielding. The enemy had held the advantage, but humanity's elite had unleashed hell. The war was far from over, but the future belonged to those who fought for it. The end.